this module are Architecture, System Requirements, License Requirements, and Deployment Options. This section covers Output Manager architecture and key components. The Kofax Control Suite web help at this URL is your reference for the information in this training. Take a minute to find and review the Output Manager Configure Output Manager section. The components of an Output Manager solution are shown here. Output Manager Server is the software that is installed on a server. Output Manager receives documents from various possible inputs. Once a document enters the Output Manager server, Output Manager can analyze and process the content of a document. The documents are then intelligently routed to a variety of destinations which are associated with devices or systems that can receive output from Output Manager. And let's not forget the additional input and output options that Control Suite adds to a solution. Input sources are entities that can send jobs to Output Manager. A common input source is a Windows print queue. Others include Control Suite, desktop print, email, network folders, mobile devices, mobile servers, FTP sites, and AutoStore. Source objects are configured within Output Manager. A source object must exist for an input to send jobs. You could think of a source object as the front door to Output Manager. The types of source objects mirror the types of input sources. Source objects also have behaviors such as the ability to analyze documents, define source capabilities profiles, and define actions applied to a document as it is processed. The concept of the document is present in virtually all areas of Output Manager. All documents within Output Manager consist of two parts: the raw file along with the metadata associated with it. Document name, owner, number of pages, color, or black and white are examples of document properties stored in metadata. Some properties are editable, while others are shown only for informational and reporting purposes. Document properties can be preset during input and the values used to affect processing and output of the document. Destination objects are configured for documents to exit Output Manager to an output device or system. The following are examples of the types of destinations: Kofax Control Suite, email, fiery device for production, FTP, MFDs, and network printers. Output processes can be associated with either destinations or documents. They are a predefined set of actions that affect a document as it is sent to a destination. Examples include search and replace, finishing options, and adding content. Physical devices, such as network printers and MFDs, require the configuration of an output device within Output Manager. The configuration of a device can also include properties and behaviors that will affect the document at the output device. Output Manager integrates with Control Suite, which can be configured as a source or destination. An important point to make is that Output Manager can send documents and receive documents with Control Suite AutoStore, Control Suite Equitrack, and integrate with hundreds of back-end enterprise applications. This enables Output Manager to be a part of workflows involving the same enterprise applications. Output Manager is designed to operate unattended. It is a system geared towards automation of document processes. Business rules represent the main interface for managing and configuring these automatic processes. Administrators can create rules which include conditions and actions. If a condition is true, the associated action is applied to the job. Actions impact documents in a variety of ways. Examples include routing to destinations, transforming to other print languages, assigning to document folders, editing document properties, and so on. Output Manager stores two different types of data. Raw print files are the data that is to be processed and all the instructions on how to print the job. Output Manager uses a folder to hold all raw print files. Designating the folder and the file store is a part of the install process. The second major data storage for Output Manager is a database. This database holds just about all data except the raw print files. This includes configuration information of the Output Manager server, system statistics, SNMP information, printer meter reads, and all the metadata about print jobs. The Output Manager database resides inside of Microsoft SQL Server and gets created during installation. The file store can physically reside on different computers on the network. With OM5, there is expanded security beyond HTTP and HTTPS to encrypt the file store. The OM console allows for configuring encryption using Windows EFS, Encrypted File System. Output Manager can be installed on a single server or distributed to multiple servers. Servers can be localized at the same site or networked across a wide area network. Physical geography is a major consideration for how you will deploy Output Manager. Your enterprise falls into one of two categories: single office or campus only, LAN, corporate office with remote offices, or a central campus, WAN. A single office or campus offers the simplest deployment option. If supporting a relatively small number of users and transactions, you can install Output Manager on a single server. However, if your user base and anticipated number of transactions is very large, you may consider multiple servers. A corporate office with remote offices, or a central campus operating across a wide area network, poses a slightly more complicated deployment. Output Manager can be deployed as one server at a main office running OM server and communicating to print servers at the other branch locations. In addition, if high availability is desired, additional instances of DBN service can provide failover and system reliability as well as minimizing traffic. Another important topic to review on Output Manager's design is services. Output Manager is made up of 5 core services. These 5 software components provide the main functionality of Output Manager. As we look into the architecture of the Output Manager server, there are a number of core component services. To start, Output Manager requires a SQL database. This database stores all configuration data, information, and settings for printers and documents, parameters for alerts, rules, reports, and logs all activities. An instance of Output Manager is defined by a single database. In this instance, there is only a single service that communicates with the database. It is appropriately named the Database Management Service, or DBM. All other services interact with the DBM service to send and retrieve information from the database. The other four Output Manager services include the Input Service, Output Service, SNMP Service, and Rules Agent Service. The Input Service manages all the communication into an OM server, such as receiving print jobs from a Windows print queue. The Output Service handles all communication leaving an OM server, such as when OM sends a print job to a printer. SNMP stands for Simple Network Management Protocol. The SNMP service enables an OM server to communicate with the SNMP software running on various printers and multifunction devices. And finally, the Rules Agent service processes the business rules configured on an OM server. For example, you might have a business rule that states, if it is Saturday or Sunday, then do not allow color printing. It is the Rules Agent service that would process and implement this business rule. All OM services can be located on one server, or they can be placed in a distributed environment. Distributed environments are covered in an advanced class. The file store holds the raw document or print job data. So, during the first Output Manager installation, all the services are installed. Then, as printer servers are added to the Output Manager instance, the DBM service is not installed on them. Only the non-DBM services are installed. They are then configured to point to the DBM service on the first Output Manager server. To further spread out the processing, individual services may be installed on its own server. Authentication at the device can be accomplished by one or more of these methods: microcard, MFD client, optional card authentication, Kofax Business Connect client, NFC/Bluetooth, OM Web Kiosk, release station. One option for users logging into devices is the microcard reader. Some key features of the microcard reader worth highlighting include hardware solution that allows for a fully embedded and external multi-card reader option in one single device, smaller footprint with a flexible design that allows the card reader to be embedded internally in MFP pockets and with multiple cable options, NFC authentication, single solution and part number for the most common card types to allow for simple ordering and fulfillment. Supports a wide range of card types already covered today by our Gen 2 reader. Simpler configuration using configuration cards. Global solution with product certification to cover 105 countries. The Ethernet card reader is a single device with integrated Ethernet ports and card reader. This provides users with the ability to swipe their ID card and release documents stored in their print queue one at a time, or release all documents in a single step at their single function printers. Users can securely release a single document or release them all in a single step at their single or multifunction printer. This results in promoting a more streamlined and efficient process, increasing security authentication with enhanced encryption, integrating the Ethernet ports and card reader in a single device that promotes a much simpler install and deployment. Kofax Business Connect, or KBC, is a productivity app for businesses and organizations in need of extending business processes to their mobile workforces. With Output Manager, KBC facilitates the ability to submit and release files in a secure printing environment. In this section, you have learned about key components of sources, destinations, devices, documents, and business rules, storage in the file store and database, basic architecture, services, and authentication options. Click Next to continue. This section covers Output Manager system requirements and how to access the Control Suite Web Help. Before installing Output Manager, ensure that the workstations and servers you plan to use meet or exceed the minimum operating requirements. Output Manager requirements include operating system, OS components, supported web browsers, database requirements, minimum recommended hardware, and more. System requirements are listed by common Output Manager component configurations. Listed hardware requirements are bare minimum operating requirements. System hardware should be scaled to anticipated workload. Let's take a moment to access the Kofax Control Suite Web Help and find the requirements for the core server. Click Install Control Suite System Requirements, Output Manager Requirements. Scroll to OM Core Server Requirements. Take a moment to review the system requirements. Now find the OM console requirements on your own. Pay particular attention to operating system platform options. The Kofax Control Suite Web Help is your key source for the latest information. With the latest version of Output Manager, Windows Server 2016 and Microsoft SQL Server 2016 are now supported. Great work! You have learned about Output Manager system requirements and how to access the Control Suite Web Help. Click Next to continue. This section covers Output Manager additions, license requirements, and license types. To determine license requirements for Output Manager, there are two simple questions you need answered. Which Output Manager edition do you need, Foundations or Enterprise? And how many users will use Output Manager? Click Next to learn more. Output Manager 5.0 Foundations includes complex business rules and workflows, mobile print submission and release, net, FTP, IPP, LPR, LPD, email printing, Epic, desktop client, reporting, authentication and follow you printing, FYP, via mobile or Ethernet card reader, authentication and FYP via embedded client, card reader license, basic scanning, device license, email, folder, SP. Output Manager Enterprise Edition includes all the Foundations features plus the following: mobile capture, document security via PDF transforms, watermarking, and user information stamping, mainframe and host-based printing, advanced scanning, Foundations plus OCR and SP and fax connectors and HA, high availability. After deciding which Output Manager edition is needed, the next step is to simply assess how many users will use Output Manager.
A user license is required to connect an individual end user to a Kofax solution. A license is required for each named user that will interact with a software solution, not necessarily every user in their organization. A named user license will enable that named user to interact with the MFP, desktop client, mobile client, and web clients, so multiple user licenses are not required for each person. Organizations cannot mix Foundations and Enterprise license types. Evaluation licenses are limited to 45 days and are valid for 100 users. Evaluation licenses can be extended one time. NFR licenses are good for 1 year and valid for 100 users. Hover over each item to learn more.
Let's have a little practice selecting Output Manager Foundations or Enterprise based on customer solution requirements. Here is a matrix of Output Manager Foundations versus Enterprise. Click on the question buttons to view a customer requirement example. Select the minimum Output Manager addition needed to meet the requirement. After answering all questions, click Next to continue.
A user license is required to
Output Manager upgrade paths vary based on the version currently in use by the customer and whether they are stepping up to Output Manager Enterprise or full Control Suite. Upgrades to Output Manager 5.0 for all existing installations will be to Output Manager Foundations by default, and future upgrades of the same product will be free for customers with active support. If a feature is required that is only available with Output Manager Enterprise, Control Suite Foundations, or Control Suite Enterprise, a step-up must be purchased. When considering upgrades, it is important to remember the difference between an upgrade, a step-up, and an add-on. Version upgrade is an upgrade to the product version. For example, an Output Manager 4 to Output Manager 5 upgrade is considered a version upgrade. Version upgrades are free for customers with current M&S and does not require any additional purchases other than potential maintenance changes at renewal time. Platform Step Up is a move from a lower product level to a higher product level. For example, moving from Output Manager 5 Foundations to Output Manager 5 Enterprise due to the additional functionality the Enterprise package provides. Platform step-ups always require purchasing a step-up line item from the price book. Feature add-on. Purchasing additional feature-based functionality is a feature add-on. Feature add-ons always require purchasing a line item from the price book. In addition to the number of users and devices being supported, you may need to consider a license for optional functionality, such as disaster recovery, additional hardware such as card readers, or other options which are available with each software solution. Disaster recovery licenses are to be used for recovery purposes and are only used when a significant catastrophic event occurs, such as a terror attack, malware attack, fire, flood, earthquake, etc. These licenses are not deployed concurrently with production non-disaster recovery licenses. They are meant to be staged in a disaster recovery environment, updated as required, and deployed only when a major event occurs. This section describes design and deployment options of the Output Manager solution. Click Next to continue. With Output Manager 5, there are now 4 distinct deployment scenarios: single server, multi-server, non-distributed high availability, distributed high availability, which is new to Output Manager 5. On the next few slides, we will cover each of these in more detail. As straightforward as it gets, the single server deployment is exactly what the name implies. All the services get installed on the same server, and the installation is very simple. For smaller environments and offices, this is perfect. For the demonstrations in this training, this is what will be used. The obvious difference when comparing a single server deployment to a multi-server deployment is that instead of all the services residing on a single server, the services are spread out. To be clear, Being spread out does not equate them to a non-distributed or distributed high availability types of deployment. We will describe those on the upcoming slides. A multi-server deployment splits up the services onto print servers. Each print server can be running one or more of any of the non-DBM services. Only the OM server has the DBM service running on it. Multi-server can also be spread across multiple offices in a wide area network. Each satellite office would have one or more print server running the non-DBM services and point to the main office's OM server where the one and only DBM would reside. When you configure an environment for high availability, you configure all the physical back-end Output Manager servers to function as a single logical Output Manager server. A load balancer receives requests from the client and sends them to the back-end servers. You can add as many physical back-end servers as necessary to meet the performance demands of a growing network. A high availability environment offers scalability and reliability. There are two types of high availability: non-distributed high availability, which was available in previous versions of Output Manager, and distributed high availability, which is new in Output Manager 5. Let's look at what differentiates each option. Non-distributed high availability provides for multiple OM-DBM servers to act as one behind a load balancer. This provides for increased document throughput and will scale better. How does it do that? The load balancer acts as a single point of contact for the input service or SNMP service, which points to it. The service thinks it's communicating with a huge DBM service, output service, and rules agent. What is the value? HA provides for increased document throughput and will scale better. It eliminates the OM-DBM as a single point of failure. HA works with a clustered SQL solution for a robust database interface. HA provides a truly fault-tolerant document printing solution. Configuration of non-distributed HA is handled within the OM Server Configuration utility. Simple steps are to specify HA by checking the Use HA checkbox. In the HA name field, enter a single logical HA server. Note, it is desirable that this name be known to DNS and point to the physical server on which the load balancer is running. This way, clients and services, input and SNMP, will be configured to communicate with the DBM through the load balancer using this name. Take a moment to review the similarities and differences between the non-distributed high availability and the distributed high availability. Distributed high availability offers these advantages. Input, output, rules agent, and SNMP are all located on the front-end server. The OM file store can be local to the OM front-end server, thus minimizing traffic over a WAN. Customers with remote district offices can incorporate an OM front-end server in each office. It prevents the DBM from being the central point of failure. Benefits customers that have remote districts connected via WAN. Distributed high availability configuration is also handled within the OM Server Configuration utility. In OM 5.0, the Server Configuration utility contains a new Distributed HA checkbox. This specifies this is a distributed HA configuration. This must be checked on all the DBM backend servers and the distributed front-end servers. When this is checked, HA expects only the DBM service to reside on the backend server. and therefore everything else, input, output, rules agent, and SNMP services, to reside on the front-end server. Note: you will need to run the server configuration utility on each OM front-end and back-end server. Further configuration within the OM server configuration utility of the DBM server, which is the back-end server. On the OM services server, also known as the front-end or non-DBM server, notice the following. The OM DBM hostname is automatically configured to the HA name. The protocol options are limited to HTTP or HTTPS only. When is distributed high availability desirable? Both HA options should be considered when the customer has a need for load-balanced, high-available access to the OM back-end DBM server from release stations, OM consoles, etc. The distributed HA should be chosen when a WAN is used and an opportunity to minimize network traffic is present, taking this opportunity to co-locate the input service, the output services, rules agent service, and an OM file store as front-end servers in a distributed OM topology. Output Manager can be installed upon one or more servers in 4 different configurations based on your environment needs. Click each tab to review the descriptions and diagrams of each deployment.